Oh,
No, it was
Mark Trestman.
no, it wasn't Trestman. Trestman was before. I think Trestman was there when they drafted Jordan Howard, when Jordan Howard finished
Right, okay, that's what I
11 or
meant.
1,200 rushing yards his rookie season.
Okay.
So.
Well, yeah, no.
And then it was Fox the year.
Oh, that's right. That's right. It was so Trestman was there when they drafted him. John Fox had him, and then of course it went on to Nagy. Gotcha.
Yeah. So I think that's how everything played out for him.
That would have driven me crazy if you didn't get that cleared up pretty quickly. So thankfully it didn't. So obviously we have the Thursday night coming up game in a couple of days. Give me some ideas what you expect. Do you see the Giants being competitive against the Patriots?
No.
You don't?
Not when they're already. I mean, here's the thing: the Patriots' defense has been this has been one of the best defenses they have had in a long time, especially fantasy-wise. Whether you're looking at it from a fantasy perspective or just a football in general perspective, this is by far one of the best defenses that they have put on the field in a while. And so with Daniel Jones not having his number one wide receiver, his top tight end, or his top two running backs, I think the Giants are really going to struggle to get anything going on offense against this very tough Patriots defense. And then you've got, with how much the Giants defense has struggled, I think that Brady just picks them apart, especially in the passing game. So, because really, if you think about it, as long as Brady has a deep threat, which he has in Josh Gordon, and he has Julian Edelman, and to run the little short routes and crossing routes, and James White to pass to it out of the backfield, he doesn't need much else to absolutely dominate another defense.
Okay.
Also important to note, Brady's career record on Thursday Night Football, 11-1. So I mean, regardless of the day, the guy doesn't lose.
So that's the stat of the day by Louis Addeo-Weiss. We have a few minutes to go, so Ryan, let's go ahead and preview tomorrow's fantasy football show with you and I.
Well, tomorrow night we're going to get into again more of the matchups for this weekend. We're dealing with bye weeks. I know that there are four or six teams.
Four.
I can't remember.
There are four.
It's 4 teams that are going to be on bye. And so this is the time, you look at the teams that are on bye. It's Chicago, Oakland, Indy, and Detroit, I believe, are the 4 teams.
No, Buffalo, I believe Detroit was on their bye last week.
Oh, that's right. Misspoke. So Buffalo.
That's all right.
So there's some fantasy relevant players in there. And so you are going to have to try to figure out, who do I play? How do I deal with bye weeks? So we're gonna work a little bit on how to deal with, bye weeks. Or there's going to be a bye week coming up where there's going to be 6 teams off all at the same time. Those are usually the absolutely brutal ones. And so again, we're going to talk about bye weeks, how to deal with them on your fantasy team, how to kind of help construct your roster to deal with those. We're going to get a little bit more into DFS and some of the matchups that I like and don't like for this weekend, and some of the players, some of the high-ranked or highly valued players that could possibly struggle again this week, and some of the some possible sleeper picks to kind of explode this week as well.
So how do you think the Dallas defense is going to do against Sam Darnold?
Against Darnold, I think that the Dallas defense will likely eat. I think really that what the Dallas defense has struggled the most with is dealing with running backs. So they've given up a lot. I mean, even look at what Aaron Jones did to them.
4 touchdowns, I believe.
Yeah, 4
touchdowns. He
right.
finished with, what was it? Over 200 or right around 200 yards all by himself. So.
Right.
Dallas has struggled more against the run than they have against the pass. So I would think that they're going to, if anything, maybe struggle a little bit against Bell if they can, if their offensive line can get going. Otherwise, I think they eat Darnold up for lunch simply because of the fact that he's been out for a couple weeks.
Right.
Yeah, he's been cleared from having mono, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he's already just going to rock the boat. So
yeah, probably be kissing a little bit of dirt. It looks like to me. And one other observation, Louis, you want to add something?
Now, Ryan, we briefly delved into the Raiders, but we didn't really talk a little bit more about it. I mean, great win obviously against the Bears on Sunday. And I'm not sure if you saw Gruden's clubhouse meeting post game, but he gave them the entire week off, no practice, no anything. And your years of watching football, and I guess just observing it through a lens that we kind of do here, we're a little bit more, we try to articulate it more by talking about it, on these podcasts. Have you seen this done before, where coaches will just say to a team, because mostly like after you play on Sunday, you're practicing back Monday, Tuesday. Has this been done before, where a coach has said to his entire team, we're not practicing at all the entire week? Because he said to them, you guys have the entire week off, no practice, no anything. Has this been done before, where Gruden is just letting his guys kind of just go and enjoy themselves? Do you think that's good? Do you think that's bad? I mean, they have a game at Lambeau Week 7 against the Packers, and we know that's going to be a difficult game given what, obviously, the Packers seem to have the run game, settled after that game against the Eagles Week 4.
So, yeah, this is somewhat normal going into a bye week, obviously that the Oakland Raiders have. What usually that means is they won't actually practice, but guys are, for those who are, healthy, they'll, kind of stay at home. They'll still be working out and stuff at home. But guys who are injured are still going to be going back to the facilities for the most part, doing their physical therapy and doing drills in order to get themselves back healthy 100% for the next week of practice. So, I mean, it's not completely unheard of for coaches to do that going into a bye week, especially coming off a big win like that.
Yeah, and let alone the fact that they were in London, so they need to get their bearings straight from the jet lag as well. That happens a lot. If you go to London, you get the week off automatically. Although I have seen some cases where they didn't take it and he went back to work. So we have another minute or so, and that's about all we have. So what are your thoughts about Rob Gronkowski going to Fox Sports, becoming an analyst for him?
It'll be interesting. I've never thought of Rob Gronkowski as a very articulate person, to be completely honest. So I think it'll be interesting to see how that goes. I always thought of him more of just the, slam open, bite open a can of beer, chug it down, and smash the can against his head kind of a guy. So it'll be interesting to see kind of how articulate he is and kind of what he can bring to the table. For those, for all those people that thought, oh yeah, he's going to come back, he's going to unretire. I'm so glad that he's going to the booth just to put those things to rest.
No question about it. So, all right, well, Ryan, gear up for our show tomorrow. I'm sure you'll dig up a lot of pretty good stuff. So, Ryan, you and I get to do this in right around this time, 24 hours or so. Well, 23 and a half hours. All right, Ryan?
Sounds perfect. As always, it's a pleasure to be on the show with you guys.
As always, it's great to have you on the program, Ryan. Thank you very much. We will talk to you tomorrow. We will communicate sooner than that. Thank you, Ryan.
All right.
You bet. Have a good night. Ryan Skolrud, everybody here on the Sports Exchange on the South Florida Tribune Broadcasting Network. All right, Louis, so what are your thoughts about what Ryan had to say? How do you go ahead and put things in perspective about what you learned?
I mean, McCaffrey, it was fun to talk about him considering the kind of season he's having. His career high in rushing touchdowns entering this season was 7. He's already got 6 thus far, and he's on pace for 14 touchdowns at the end of the season. So, 14 touchdowns for a running back is pretty absurd. I think, he's got a good shot at this MVP. Mahomes is going to be right there if Brady continues to play well with the benefit of his offense, with his, saving himself some passes on the arm by feeding Tony Michel more. James White, he's going to be in there for the MVP discussion. But at this point, for me, it's a 3-player race. Right. And I think McCaffrey is, you can go 1A, 1B with him and Mahomes at this point, but realistically, there's not a wrong answer between the two of them. No,
you're right. There really isn't. I mean, McCaffrey has proven that he's been a fine player since he came into the NFL. And, with their quarterback situation being a little bit in question, you have Kyle Long now, but then Cam Newton.
Kyle Allen.
Allen,
he's been impressive.
Right.
He has fumbled 6 times. I did note that earlier. And considering the fact that he wasn't really a starter until about the third week of the season.
Right.
That's not good. He's averaging 2 fumbles a game, but I mean, he's winning games for him in the absence of Cam Newton. Minus all the charades aside, Cam Newton post game. But I mean, you're gonna just have to kind of go with these guys. It's the same thing with Bridgewater and the same thing with Minshew. If these guys are helping you win games or at least keeping you in them, in the case of Minshew, considering they lost last week, just keep going with them. And Minshew, like I said last week, he's a good story for the sport. In a year that's been full of tumultuous kind of stories with Newton and Antonio Brown, you want guys like, Bridgewater getting a second chance, and you want guys like Minshew, a 6th-round pick out of Washington State, performing at a, above average level.
You're right. We've seen too many bad stories. I don't really care to get into them.
We didn't even get into the Cleveland Browns.
Well,
the debacle that was,
again, this is a 2.5-hour show, so we're not going to give it all away in the first 30 minutes. But yeah, you're right. I mean, it's all the off the field demand antics to me get a little old after a while. They really, really do. And the way I look at it, to me, it's a bunch of nonsense. Some of the stuff.
The NFL and sports networks, love the prima donna antics of the athletes. It gets them ratings, but at the same time, it's not really helping teams.
Well, you know what? I disagree with you there. I don't really think they do like them, but unfortunately, when you're in an industry where you have to report the stuff, it's just part of the territory.
Yeah, it feeds content, though, as terrible as that is, but...
All right, well, we welcome Anthony Wood to the Sports Exchange. Anthony, glad to have you with us. How are you today?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
All right, well, Louis Addeo-Weiss is with us as usual, okay? We're going to go over some of your notes, and then he went ahead and threw a teaser with the Cleveland Browns, but we're going to let you get to some of your main notes, and then we're going to get into those. So welcome back here, Anthony Wood. Glad to have you, buddy.
Thanks very much. Looking forward, so let's kick off with some of my highlighted games from this weekend's action. Raiders, as we know, beat the Bears in London at the opener for the year of the International Series. It was 24-21 in the end, a last gasp winner there for the Raiders in what was a very tight game at the end of the day, and a far more entertaining one than a lot of the London fans would have been used to, given some of the poor performances in London over the past few years. But Josh Jacobs really, really shone, 123 rushing yards in London, and he had that last gasp touchdown for the Raiders. It was absolutely magnificent. You go back and watch it if you haven't already. Tottenham Hotspur Stadium really shone. Neil Reynolds, a NFL reporter based in the UK, said that as far as he's concerned, it felt like an NFL stadium. It felt like they were in the States, and there's no finer stadium in the NFL. He said it was absolutely fantastic, which, of course, obviously what we wanted to hear coming out of that. And Jacobs himself actually pointed out after the game how great it was. And he felt fast. He felt fast on that turf. He felt fast on his feet, and everyone seems to be glowing about the stadium. So it's good to hear that the London series has gotten off to a good start. And yes, you mentioned the Browns. Of course, Browns continue to struggle as the 49ers now remain undefeated. The Browns are 2-3 at this point in time. Baker Mayfield was 8 of 22 yesterday for just 100 yards. It's absolutely appalling, if we're being perfectly honest. The 49ers pass rush really was on top of it for the majority of the game. Nick Bosa had a fantastic game.
I'm listening to you. Go ahead.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, sorry about that.
Okay.
Yes, Nick Bosa made the most with 2 sacks and a memorable flag celebration. Again, I would recommend you go back and watch that. And Freddie Kitchens just said, you can't have mistakes, turnovers, drops, penalties. Offensively, that kind of summed us up. We just shot ourselves in the foot too many times, Kitchen said. It's very clear that we've got to do a better job mentally, a better job coaching these guys.
Yeah, I mean, again, this continues to be an issue. And the Browns, they had a pretty decent year. They're featuring them on a lot of nationally televised broadcasts, and now they're being exposed as a one-year wonder. And I'm telling you, that situation by the week, Louis Addeo-Weiss, is going to get murkier and murkier, isn't it?
And you'd think with the additions of Jarvis Landry and Odell Beckham that this team would be a lot more impressive than they are, but it just hasn't been the case.
Yeah, I don't know.
No, exactly.
What's even worse about it is I saw a note today that the last 2 games that Cleveland has played, and obviously they've lost both of them, Beckham has been targeted 13 times, but Mayfield's hit him 4 times in those 13 targets. One, you're not going to win many games if you're only throwing to Odell Beckham an average of 6 times a game and you're hitting him 2 times a game.